Hi, series recapped here. Today, I am going to explain the fourth part of a post-apocalyptic science fiction series called The 100. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Bellamy sits in front of the prisoner Grounder, keeping an eye on him. Everyone in the camp wants to kill the Grounder for what his people did to theirs. However, Bellamy is against the idea since it might cause more problems. Somewhere else, Clark is talking to the council, telling them that surviving the winter on the ground is going to be difficult. They discuss the ways to collect food and preserve it for future purposes. Kane has discovered an old emergency aid depot not far away from the landing site. If the group can make it there, they might get access to more supplies. After the meeting, the 100 get a chance to talk to their loved ones on Ark. A guy named Dax goes to talk to his mother, but the commander takes over the call. He is the person behind Bellamy's attack on the Chancellor. Before Bellamy can tell the Chancellor about the real people behind the attack, the commander wants Dax to kill him. Dax agrees after being manipulated. Outside, Clark and Bellamy set off to look for the supply depot they were told about. Dax follows them behind, hoping to kill them both when he gets the chance. Meanwhile, everyone in the camp is enjoying a strange kind of nut, unaware that it causes hallucinations. Octavia secretly goes to meet the Grounder and gives him water. The two have formed a connection in the past 2 days he has been captive. Since no one is around, he speaks freely and introduces himself as Lincoln. Just when they start a conversation, a guy arrives and sends Octavia away. In another tent, Raven asks Finn if he still loves her. She has been feeling insecure after finding out Finn and Clark hooked up in her absence. When Finn affirms, the two make love. Clark and Bellamy are still looking for the supply depot. Bellamy is nervous because when the people of Ark come to the ground, he is sure to be convicted. He wants to run away and live an isolated life somewhere in the jungle, but Clark insists otherwise. She believes that if he explained why he tried to kill the Chancellor, his crime might be pardoned. They find an underground door and enter the depot. Dax is nearby, keeping an eye on both of them. The place is filled with trash, none of which is actually usable. A frustrated Bellamy kicks a barrel and discovers a pile of guns and ammunition. In the camp, people start to hallucinate because of the wild nuts. Jasper feels like someone is trying to kill him and runs to Octavia. She hasn't eaten the nut yet, which makes her realize that Jasper is hallucinating. Taking the opportunity, she makes sure that everyone in the camp eats the nuts. She even hands one to the guard who has been keeping an eye on the Grounder. Clark and Bellamy start practicing to shoot. They want to bring the guns to the camp but are unsure if they can trust their friends. In the end, they decide to allow only a select group of people to use it. That way they can maintain peace and stay safe at the same time. Bellamy walks outside the bunker to get some air, unaware that Dax is waiting to kill him. All of a sudden, he comes face to face with the Chancellor. It turns out that Bellamy also ate the nuts before the expedition, causing him to hallucinate. More people surround him and accuse him of being a murderer. Somewhere else, Clark hears and sees her dead father. They reconcile in the hallucination, and he asks her to forgive Abby. By now, everyone in the camp is high, except Finn and Raven, who are enjoying their time together inside a tent. Suddenly, Monty barges in and tells him about his absurd hallucination. The couple dismisses him before kicking him out. Since no one is in their right mind, Octavia gets the perfect opportunity to meet the Grounder. She helps him out of the chains and dresses him up. Lincoln urges her to go away because it is not safe for her to help him, but Octavia doesn't care. Before separating, he pulls her close and kisses her. Soon, it gets dark. Finn and Raven come out of the tent to see the complete chaos that the camp is in. They babysit everyone, going along with their hallucinations to keep them controlled. Lincoln bumps into Finn before running away. Finn recognizes him but doesn't try to interfere. Hours pass, but Bellamy's hallucinations only get worse. At one point, he is on the ground surrounded by people calling him a murderer. He hands a gun to the Chancellor, asking him to end his life rather than torture him. Suddenly, everything goes silent and his high wears off in an instant. Dax stands in front of him with his gun pointed. Right before he shoots, Clark appears with a rifle and saves Bellamy. Dax reveals he was sent by the commander, making it clear that someone else from the Ark wants him dead. In the ensuing fight, Dax manages to strangle Bellamy but is stabbed in the neck. He dies in the incident, leaving the other two confused. After everything Bellamy experienced today, he has discovered that he is turning into an evil man. He starts to spiral with regret before Clark calms him down. Back in the camp, the effect of the nut wears out. A few minutes later, they notice Lincoln's absence and panic. Since they tortured him, they believe he will return with his people to do the same to them. Bellamy and Clark return with arms and ammunition, confirming their safety. They distribute the guns among the experienced ones and lay down the rules of who gets to use them. A while later, Bellamy and Clark chat with the Chancellor and tell him Bellamy's side of the story. Kane and his people quickly arrest the commander, who still doesn't show remorse. He claims that he had to kill the Chancellor because of his beliefs. In the camp, Clark goes to look at Finn's injury. He is not happy about the guns because the people living among them are not trustworthy. He believes guns will only cause violence and do more harm than good. However, Clark stands with Bellamy on this one and is adamant about her decision. Then it is revealed that the commander is actually working for Diana. She was the former Chancellor of the Ark and wants her position back. She kills the commander to keep her secret hidden. They make it seem like suicide so the police won't investigate further. The following day is the Unity Day at Ark. It's celebrated in the memory of all the Ark space stations coming together. The Chancellor's speech is broadcasted in the camp as well. People drink, dance, play games, and have a lot of fun, forgetting the sorrows of the past few weeks. When everyone is distracted, Octavia takes the opportunity to sneak out of the camp. Finn notices this and decides to follow her later. On the Ark, the Chancellor cuts his speech short for the kids who have organized a pageant. They move to a different room, which Diana doesn't seem to like for some reason. The pageant starts and goes well for a few minutes, but then a large explosion destroys everything. When the ringing stops, several bodies lie on the ground, some injured and others dead. The Chancellor and Kane are fine, but Kane's mother is severely injured. She passes away in his arms as Abby consoles him. If the Chancellor hadn't cut his speech short, everyone would have died in the other room, which proves the explosion is a coup. They also discover that Diana left just before the blast. Everyone suspects her, but helping the injured is their first priority. Somewhere else, Diana meets with two of her subordinates and tells them to take the Exodus ship to the ground. She has managed to bring a group of people to her side and wants to be their leader. One ship was planning to land on Earth the next day with medical supplies. The group wants to take over it. On the ground, Finn and Raven get into a slight argument about the grounders. Finn thinks guns are unnecessary, but she doesn't agree. Octavia, on the other hand, follows a trail of flowers and finds Lincoln waiting for her. They reunite, having not seen each other for an entire day. As they make out, Finn appears behind them. He knows that Lincoln saved them from other grounders a few days ago and thanks him for it. They chat and find out that both sides want to maintain peace. But since they do not have the power to call a truce, the leader of both their parties should meet. Lincoln promises to bring the grounders' leader and asks Finn to bring Clark on a bridge. If the meeting is successful, no more people will be hurt. On the Ark, Diana distracts Kane by telling him that she found the culprit. Kane gets busy interrogating him while she and her people slyly enter the Exodus ship. Clark is enjoying the Unity Day when Finn brings her aside. On finding out that he met a grounder outside the camp, Clark freaks out. She doesn't want to believe that the grounders are good because of how many people they have killed. Still, Finn manages to convince her and makes her come to the meeting with no backup. A while later, Clark meets Bellamy and tells him everything. Bellamy, Raven, and Olivia follow the other two behind with guns. On the Ark, Kane meets the culprit Ridley, who happens to be Diana's subordinate. He expresses that he is mad at the council after his wife died in the mass execution. As Kane interrogates him, one of the guards attacks, revealing he is also working for Diana. The culprit and he run away, locking Kane in the prisoner's chamber. At the same time, the Chancellor is informed that several stations are losing power at the same time. If this continues, people will freeze to death in the next few hours. The lockdown is lifted and people are asked to evacuate to the main station as soon as possible. Right after, Kane is found locked in the prisoner's chamber, shivering in the cold. He tells the Chancellor that Diana is behind all this. On the Exodus ship, Diana's people knock everyone out and throw them out of the ship. Abby, however, manages to stay hidden. The doors are closed and the ship is prepared for takeoff. Clark and Finn meet Octavia on the bridge. Meanwhile, Bellamy, Jasper, and Raven watch them from the woods. They have brought guns for protection in case the meeting is a trap. The leader of the Grounders, Anya, arrives on a horse alongside 2 guards. She and Clark meet in the middle of the bridge and introduce themselves. The Grounders think that the 100 are here to attack them and take over the Earth. The missiles they launched to get the Ark's attention had burned down an entire Grounder village. That is why the Grounders killed their people yesterday. The conflict is because of a huge misunderstanding, but it is clear that both sides want peace. Meanwhile, on the Ark, the Chancellor finds Diana before the Exodus ship launches. However, the launch protocol has started, which doesn't allow him access inside the ship. He and his people try to open the door forcefully, but it doesn't work. Abby, who is hiding in a corner, presses a button to open the door. She is quickly pushed aside and the door is shut again. Anya is skeptical about forming an alliance since the people coming from the Ark are not under Clark's control. As they talk about the terms and conditions, Jasper sees a Grounder on a nearby tree pointing an arrow at Clark. He might be there as a backup, but in the moment of panic, Jasper shoots the guy dead. This starts a war between the 2 parties and the meeting ends up in a disaster. Clark and the group have to return when the rivals start showering them with arrows. In the meantime, the Chancellor finds out that if the Exodus takes off, the Ark will be left with minimal oxygen and water supply and will eventually die. They try their best to stop Diana but are unsuccessful. In the end, the ship takes off to the Earth. Finn is furious at Clark for bringing guns to the meeting. All she had to do was to trust him, but her simple mistake has started a war. Suddenly, they notice the Exodus falling from the sky. It is way too quick, meaning something is wrong. The episode ends when the ship lands with a loud bang. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.